welcoming people to another episode of How to AI. Today, we have one of the OGs in this space, Anup, who's been doing this for 17 long years. That was actually before people even really started talking about AI. With this, Anup, just handing over the mic to you so you could give us like a quick background about yourself.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Krishna and Jay. I've been into AI for quite some time now when we used to call it as a pattern recognition. And from there on, I moved into the world of information retrieval, worked on a lot of research projects when I was in US. Say around 2018, I came back to India and started working as a chief data officer of IIT Madras. Post which I started this firm called Pyrac. And we now do bespoke AI solutions for a lot of clients across multiple domains. Thanks a lot for the opportunity today to sort of give a sneak peek around what security means and how a normal user can possibly take care of his or own data, and not possibly rely on ChatGPT like models all the time, which at the end of the day gather all of your data and make their own models robust. So um, I'm a big advocate of using open LLMs, free to use LLMs, which have been already trained on a lot of data that is being gathered in the world, and how you could possibly run those models on your own computer without internet. So that's the gist of today's talk. So, shall we proceed?
Yep.
Sure. Also, just a quick note for everybody. Anup's a father to a kid, dog, and parrots, two parrots. So,
Thanks a lot. I think that makes it all the more challenging while running a startup. So, yeah.
yeah.
So Anup, I had two small questions, before we jump to the sort of, the doing part. One is that why is even data privacy important, right? Matlab, in the first place? Because I think this is like an ongoing topic for like decades now, right? We have been hearing about big tech, this, that. But in your opinion, why do you think data privacy matters?
For a lot of reasons, right? I mean, personally, end of the day, your data gets monetized by someone else. Okay, you don't just reveal about yourself, but you reveal about your demographics. You reveal about a lot of stuff, the world around you, and that essentially can work against you as a community. Imagine yourself to be uploading a lot of pictures of your surroundings and your neighborhood, and if you were to be uploading those pictures into a system that belongs to a country that is, not friends with you, right? It's harmful for the entire nation. Second of all, I think you end up paying for these services even though you're offering the data on which these services thrive. So today, if I were to opt for ChatGPT Plus or the deep
True.
research, I would have to pay at least what $20 plus
Yeah.
per month, even though it's thriving on my own data, probably that I had created for 10 long years or a decade, as one of the contributors of this nation. Um, and secondly, you don't really have to worry about the internet. In a country like India, it's a developing country. I'm not talking about cities like Pune, Mumbai, but if you still go to tier three, tier four, signal internet could still be a challenge a lot of times, right? And all of these technologies, they thrive on a lot of bandwidth. If you were to upload a picture, if you were to generate
Yeah.
a picture in GenAI, takes quite a few seconds, at least a minute, for ChatGPT to get the response back. And I'm sure everyone has noticed that. Why do we want to do that? If you have a laptop, you can pretty much use the GenAI application without internet and keep your data completely secure. You don't have to worry about whether someone is consuming it. It could be, so the practical example could be I have, say, some skin rash on my hand, and I want to have some sort of, always the doctors are the best person to, get the problem solved with. But still, I really want to investigate on what is happening with me, right? These days, LLMs are super powerful when it comes to, say, even diagnosing what's happening with your plant. The plant is in your balcony, you're not sure what is happening with the leaves, why you see all of those white particles on those leaves. One simple example is I click a picture and I upload it into LLM and it will give me all sorts of clues to treat. You know, you can do the same with your own LLM, and you don't have to share the pictures with the world because it's your own private world, right? So that's one of the reasons why security is important. And of course, uh, in the larger scheme of things, if you look at large corporates in India, you know, uh, uh, say Maruti Suzuki or Godrej and all of these big companies, uh, all of them want to adopt AI. But
Hmm.
one of the main reasons why they want to do on-premise applications is because of security.
Yeah,
They don't want
data.
to share their data, whatever happens within their plant, to the entire world. And so even they, at a very large scale, are adopting on-premise solutions, which means totally off of internet. You do whatever you want to do. You do all the computations on-premise. So that's an overarching goal, So, and I'm sure in near future you'll see government of India also slapping some regulations on how we could possibly use AI.
Right. I think that's a good base for for users to also understand that why it's important and why it makes sense in the first place. Because every time we just hear this big headlines, right? कि ये breach हुआ, वो breach हुआ,
Yeah,
this went out. But I think the reason being is also that कि we are just sharing too much of data everywhere, right?
yeah, and
Occasionally,
openly. Yeah.
open. So I think that's a good one. And just last question, Anup, before we start. So there has been a lot of like narratives from last 2 years, specifically on India building our own LLMs, right? Do you think it actually makes sense for us to do that?
Yes, of course. I think India has some unique challenges of its own, right? Apart from languages, I do feel that there's a lot of variation even in the demographics.
Hmm.
Um, the way every state works. Um, and the way we use language. So, if you were to roll out an AI application here in India with, say, any organization or any potential client who's running a business, there's hardly a chance that everyone will ask the question in plain English. It'll
Yeah.
always be a mix of languages, which doesn't
Yeah.
happen outside India. It's going to be either Chinese, it's going to be either French or English.
Two or three
But
languages, maximum a combination of two to three languages.
correct. And so here, in one sentence, you might come across multiple languages put together, and
Yeah.
that's hard enough for the LLM to understand and then run out a task. So we have some unique challenges as to why we want to train the models for ourselves. First of all, for sure, we want to create a good stamp in the world that we are also an AI, powerhouse. But that being said, to solve our own challenges for the farmers who care about their crops as to what should be the time to sow the seeds and all of those. And they could be speaking in in their own dialect.
Language.
The
Yeah.
AI needs to. It's not even the mainstream language that the state follows. It's a dialect of its own. Which
Yeah.
even if who speaks Marathi like me is difficult to understand. Um, so for all those challenges put together, we have these initiatives um, led by Mr. Ravindran from IIT Madras, and there are some very qualified professors from IIT Madras who started this initiative called Bhashini, and all of these local LLMs. Then you have a new startup called Sarvam AI, which is
Yeah.
Yeah.
again by some of the PhD students from IIT Madras. And these are all great startups when it comes to creating Indic LLMs or our own indigenous LLMs. So yes, it is absolutely important. I think for various reasons, and I think we are now following the right direction at this point of time. So very soon, I think by next year or so, we should be having some solid stuff of our own. That being said, we already have a lot of agents. Which are Sarvam M is one of the latest additions that we have, which is like a voice agent in multiple regional languages. And there are a lot of government organizations who have started adopting those. One of the latest being, I'm not sure if you're aware, but at least I think 2 months ago, Maharashtra government had declared that they want to create their own LLM for Marathi literature, and that had come as news from the literature department itself. So that speaks of the volume of initiatives that are being taken by the government at this point in time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sort of really helps to put it in perspective.
Yeah. With the Anup, what we want to now do is we just want you to show how to AI in any aspect of life which you would want to pick up as today's problem.
Yeah, no problem. So I think my intention is to, as I said, advocate for the security of your LLM, secure your own data. As it is, we keep on sharing the data on Instagram, Facebook, which we think that we own, but I don't think we actually own that data anymore. As soon as you share it on WhatsApp or Facebook.
Hmm.
Uh, So what is the best that we can do? So everyone should realize that every time you use ChatGPT or any LLM like Claude, uh, it's a gigantic model. And what I mean by model is, imagine for a layman, a model is nothing but an equation, a big equation with a lot of parameters and coefficients into it. Okay, in simple terms. Um, it's like a equation of a line, right? Mx plus y is equal to c, right? So uh, in this equation, you would have a lot of parameters and coefficients to go with, and this could be a quadratic equation as well to go with, or a polynomial equation, or an equation that you cannot really sustain or comprehend. uh, for example. And these models are such gigantic equations to deal with, and they have a lot of coefficients and parameters, right? Uh, this is what we call as, say, Llama 3.27b or Llama 3.270b. All of the uh, 7b's or 70b's are nothing but number of parameters that the equation is used. And so the kind of model that you use on ChatGPT is actually, in the ranks of 676 billion parameters or something, which is huge, right? Now, do I need to use that model for my day-to-day use cases? I probably don't, right? Unless and until you're in absolute requirement of um, getting the latest news. Like, if you were to use Perplexity, have you heard of Perplexity as
Yeah.
trying to replace Google?
Yeah.
Then you get the latest news as to what is happening. So all of that news is being consumed in a question and answer format. But in my day-to-day life, when I'm a professional coder, when I'm coding or when I'm doing some other task, I don't really need to delve into the current news all the time. I'm actually putting out questions that look for an answer through a large set of data or through a history of data, right? I'm looking to solve my problems, which may not be related to the current events happening. So I'm relying on a knowledge bank which was created for years together now. And all of that knowledge can be encoded into these equations in a quantized or a small format as well. Right? So, which means you don't really have to rely on the 676 billion parameter model. The smaller version of that model can also suffice for you to find answers to your questions. And the smaller versions of models could be as small as, say, zero point 0.6 billion parameters, right? Or like 1 billion parameters, right?
Makes
Something
sense.
in those ranks. Um, and those are sufficient enough to run on your laptop these days. Even the laptops are getting better with the specs, but you can easily run those models without a GPU, which is one of the essential things for you to run any LLM. And we are all talking about GenAI. I'm not talking about the conventional machine learning anymore, right? In this talk, we're talking about GenAI, which needs a GPU for it to be able to run. But now you can run the small version of models on your CPU as well. Right. So I'm going to be talking about how you go about downloading them, how you go about using them with a few commands, which are going to be easy for anyone to install. It's pretty much just installing applications, and how you could potentially use it to do your tasks on your computer. So if I'm a programmer, I'm considering a user over here who's a fresher, who's got some interest into coding, who wants to analyze her own image, uh, or do pretty much anything that he or she does with ChatGPT these days, right? Um, and you could do all of this by putting the internet off. You don't have to be online, you know. So it's totally self-reliant, and it's in technical terms we call it as running on the edge, right? Edge device analysis or edge device engineering. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. You'll have to help me out as to how I do that.
So just on the tab, the fourth tab is present.
Okay, cool. Cool. So do you see my screen?
Yeah, we
Yes.
can.
Yeah. So this is one of the websites called olama.com, and you have so the model that you use on ChatGPT or Claude, these are all proprietary models, right? So they are not free to use, although it appears to be free, but you cannot really download them and play with them. But there's a world of LLM models which are being offered to anyone for free, and you can download them on your computer for your own purpose, for commercial purpose, or for your own interest. And olama.com, and then there are other websites as well, like Hugging Face, where you could be downloading these models. In fact, companies like Google, Microsoft, Meta, all of them have offered some versions of LLMs for free for you to play with and use in your applications. And you don't obviously have to pay anything for it. So when you go to olama.com and under models, you will see different sorts of LLMs being offered to you. Some models specialize in vision tasks, which is image-related tasks or video-related tasks. Some models are meant for you to use for reasoning, which is what they call as thinking tasks, embedding in tools. So you have specialized models for coding as well. I have already downloaded a couple of models on my computer over here. Obviously, they take a little bit of time for you to download, but I quickly wanted to demo as to how you could possibly download a model, how you could choose and pick a model. But first of all, let me directly take you to that link, which allows you to download the Olama application in the first place. So let's see. Okay, so with Olama, this is basically the page where you can download your installable for either Mac OS, Linux, Windows. It's going to detect your operating system on its own. You just pretty much have to click on the download, and it'll download that application for you. Once you download that application, I've already downloaded it on my computer. You just have to double click it, and it'll say, configure or something. There are a few steps for you to follow. But it'll set itself on your machine. You don't have to do anything. It's installable. Like for Windows, you'll get exe. For Mac OS, you'll get .img file, and the icon will sit on your desktop. So it's as easy as that. Once you do that, you come to this page of models, and there are different commands on your computer that you can follow. But the easiest way is to come to this page of olama.com /search, where you could find different models being listed. Like DeepSeek is one of the Chinese models which created a lot of waves when it came out.
Yeah.
So one of the best models is the reasoning models. All of that thinking and all of that you see when you type is reasoning. So the previous chat models didn't offer that. They were plain chat models. But this time the model evaluates its own response, it thinks over it, rectifies it, and then gives you an answer. So that's reasoning model. So DeepSeek was offered for free. Gamma, Qwen is again one of the Chinese models. Llama 3.1 from Meta. So we have a whole range of models to select. Mistral is the French model. And then you have the strength, the number of parameters that they come with, right? Like 1B, 4B, 12B, 27B. Look at this DeepSeek model. It starts from 1.5B to almost 671B.
Yeah.
You can't really be running these on your laptop. You need GPU, right? But you could do 1.5B on your laptop. That'll still give you an impression of reasoning over a lot of questions. And imagine the ability of running that reasoning on your laptop, for which you would end up paying otherwise $20 plus every month, right? Completely for free. So I've already downloaded a couple of models. I've downloaded this Qwen 2.5 VL, which is a vision language model, and a Llama 3.2 model on my computer for coding assistance and all of that. But I'm going to quickly show you how do we do that, the download stuff on our computer. So I'm going to be clicking on Qwen 3, let's say, and then it lists out all of these models for me. It'll show me the size of each of these models as well. So if I were to choose the smallest one, which is 0.6, right, it's about 523 MB in size, right, which is a quick download. I don't have to worry too much about it. And say if I click on this, it's going to give me a command. Imagine I've already downloaded this Olama application through the installable. I've double clicked it, and I'm running Mac. On Windows, you will open up your own terminal. On Mac, one has its own terminal. You basically copy this statement. You come over here. So let's say let me open another terminal. Cool. So as soon as I fire this command, it'll start downloading this model. And that's pretty much how you download the model. You know, you are here at this website. Every model that you choose or want to download, they give you the command to be running on your computer. You just open the terminal. Obviously, for this command to run, you have to have Olama installed in the first place, which is this this page from where you'll download the Olama application. Right. Once you do that, it's going to run towards completion, and then it'll have this Qwen reasoning model running on my computer. Okay.
Understood.
And as soon as it is downloaded, I don't need internet. And there are various ways to query this. Obviously, we are so used to seeing the ChatGPT interface. It's so nice. It stores all of the queries and it gives the response. Terminal is a very sort of a raw nature of how you would query the LLM, and I'll show you both in a second. But this is because it's about 600 MB. It got downloaded in about a minute. If I were to venture for the higher models, they'll take about 5 minutes.
More time.
Connection, right? So it has already been downloaded, and I'll say hi. So it's thinking, hello, how can I assist you today, and all of that, right? So this is a model. And so it is not retrieving these answers via internet. This is the entire model
Database.
and the entire knowledge of the world. So do I need to go to ChatGPT? The answer is no. I pretty much ask anything to it. It's going to be reasoning for me. And I'm running it on my laptop without a GPU. So that's enormous power. That's enormous strength in the first place, right? On top of it, if I'm able to accommodate the higher versions of the model, I'll get better quality of the answer, like in simple terms.
But like Anup, what depth of work can one do with this? Like this is generic question, right? Like, but can somebody use it as a thinking model? Like the one with deep, which we saw was like a thinking model.
Yes. You can absolutely do that. Let me show that to you. So this is a very crude interface, right? This is a terminal interface. But I'm used to seeing the ChatGPT interface. So what do? I'm just going to say bye to this for now. And I'm going to be opening up a page called Open Web UI. Okay. So this is like free of cost ChatGPT interface for you. Totally free of cost. Right? You just have to install it again like Olama. Don't have to do anything. It's an installable that will come to you. So if you go to the, I think, get started. Yeah, if you come to this page, Open Web UI, again, you pretty much have to just run a couple of commands. Let me show you. Yeah. So under this home page of how you start with Open Web UI, you have a section called manual installations. There are different ways of installing this. And they have given you 2 commands, one for Mac OS or Linux and one for Windows. Okay, depending upon your operating system, you simply copy this command, okay, and run it in the terminal, just like how we did for Olama. Okay, so you would come over here, you would open a new tab, and then you will basically paste the command over here for it to get installed. It's going to take a couple of minutes to install itself, but it's going to do everything that it needs to do on your system, and it'll be installed in a way that you could be running ChatGPT-like interface on your computer. I've already done this for this computer. The next important command is after you install this using this command, is this command for you to run the platform. right? So once that command finishes, you basically copy this command, run this on your system, and you paste it here, and you start the service. So it's going to take a minute to start the service. Uh, as I said, I had already installed this Open Web UI, and I'm going to start the service for me to use all of the models that I've downloaded using Olama. Understood? So this is the next step. How do you graduate from, because that interface is, why is it important? It stores all of your history, it stores all of your queries, which is what you're typically used to seeing. Okay?
I was actually asking Anup,
Yes.
can we actually run this in the UI of Olama? Is that possible? We have to, go through this route, essentially.
There's no UI of Olama. Olama is just a facilitator for you to download the models, right? And this terminal interface is the raw interface through which you can query the models of Olama.
Mhm.
Now, because these models are hosted internally on your laptop, you could use them under different services. So WebUI is just one of the services which can utilize all of the models downloaded by you.
Got it. Okay.